Operation Epic Fury.
They're already here. Iranian sleeper cells embedded across America, and now they're being activated. While the corporate media downplays the threat, pro-Iranian hackers just launched a major cyber attack on a U.S. medical device company. Mexican cartels are actively smuggling military-age men from Iran into our country. And Senator Ted Cruz is sounding the alarm that the threat of terrorism is higher than it's been in decades. But here's what the deep state doesn't want you to know. President Trump just confirmed he knows exactly where these sleeper cells are, and he's watching every single one of them. The question is, how do we get here, and what happens next? Now, let me be crystal clear about what this means for you and your family. These aren't abstract threats happening in some far-off land. This is happening in your backyard, in your cities right now. And that's all thanks to 4 years of Joe Biden's catastrophic open border policies. 12 million people flooded across our southern border with virtually zero vetting. Among them, Hamas operatives, Hezbollah terrorists, IRGC agents trained to kill Americans. Just in the last week alone, we witnessed 2 terrorist attacks on American soil. In Austin, Texas, a killer wearing a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah" with the Iranian flag on his shirt opened fire in a bar, murdering Texans and wounding over a dozen more. Days later, 2 ISIS terrorists from Pennsylvania threw homemade bombs filled with nails and bolts in New York, designed to shred human flesh and maximize casualties. This is not fear-mongering, folks. This is the reality that Biden and the Democrats created. And now President Trump is left cleaning up their mess while these cells activate across the country. But here is a very important national security threat that you need to be made aware of. And I want you thinking about this while we're tracking these Iranian sleeper cells. You see, every nuclear submarine, every warhead that's defending America right now, they all run on uranium. And here's the scary part. We import almost every single pound of it. Think about what we're talking about here. Iranian threats. You see, the U.S. burns through 50 million pounds of uranium per year, but mines less than 1 million. A staggering 50-to-1 national security gap. That's why on January 14th of this year, the president signed that executive order, Section 232, to secure our uranium supply chain. Just days before, the Department of Energy locked in $2.7 billion in new contracts. It's not a theory, it's happening right now. In atomic minerals, trading as ATMMF in the United States and ATOM in Canada sits right in the middle of this with key holdings across the Colorado Plateau. Because when foreign threats are at your doorstep, energy independence is not optional. Make sure you check out the full briefing that has been prepared exclusively for Next News viewers right below this video. Now let's get back to those sleeper cells. This is where it gets even more explosive. Investigative journalist Jorge Ventura is doing what the corporate media refuses to do. He's heading directly to Mexico to expose the exact locations where cartels are harboring these military-aged men from Iran before smuggling them into America. These aren't just random migrants, folks. These are special interest aliens with documented ties to terrorist organizations. The FBI is now warning that Iranian drones could strike the West Coast. But the bigger story, the terrorists are already here, and more are coming every single day. Take a look here. This is what Ted Cruz just had to say. Warning of the threat of Iranian terrorism is higher than it's been in decades, blaming open borders and recent attacks on science as the danger is growing. Listen.
Well, Sean, as we sit here right now tonight, the threat of terrorist attack is higher now than it has been in decades. And there are 2 causes of it. Number one, we had 4 years under Joe Biden of open borders. We had 12 million people flood across the border, basically an open invitation to every terrorist, every Hamas and Hezbollah and IRGC terrorist, come to America. We have seen in just the last week 2 terrorist attacks unfold. We saw just over a week ago in Austin, Texas, a deranged killer showing up in a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah," in a T-shirt underneath with an Iranian flag, opened fire at a bar in Austin, Texas, killing several Texans, wounding more than a dozen more. It was a brazen act of terrorism. Then we saw just a couple of days ago two ISIS terrorists from Pennsylvania travel to New York and throw two handmade bombs filled with nails and bolts designed to kill as many people as possible. Fortunately, these terrorists were not very bright terrorists, so they didn't actually know how to make bombs that worked, so the bombs didn't detonate. But the terrorists told the Department of Justice they had hoped to kill a lot more people than the Boston bombers did at the Boston Marathon. Those are the two terrorist attacks we've seen, and we are at danger of more.
We're at danger for more. Pro-Iranian hacker group claims it carried out a major cyber attack against a U.S. medical device company called Stryker. Listen.
Alert, a pro-Iranian hacker group is claiming responsibility for a major cyber attack on a U.S. medical device maker, marking the first notable pro-Iranian hack against U.S. infrastructure since Operation Epic Fury began. The company, Stryker, releasing a statement saying, quote, "We are continuing to resolve the disruption impacting our global network resulting from the cyber attack. At this time, there is no indication of malware or ransomware, and we believe the situation is contained to our internal Microsoft environment only."
Cyber attacks now on the rise. Jorge Ventura posting that Iranian sleeper cells and Mexican cartels. He says, "I'm headed to Mexico to expose the location used by Mexican cartels to harbor and smuggle military-age men from Iran and other countries into the Middle East." Listen.
Iranian sleeper cells and Mexican cartels, what's the connection there? In the next few days, I'm going to be headed to Mexico to expose how Mexican cartels are smuggling thousands of military-age men from Iran and other parts of the Middle East. Now, this is a major national security story because these men have ties to terror groups, and these men are already here on American soil. Now, from corporate media reporting, you might have heard of Iranian sleeper cells, how they are being activated. Now the FBI issuing a new warning that Iranian drones could potentially strike the West Coast. But corporate media is missing the bigger story. These men with ties to terror groups are already here in the United States, and the Mexican cartel continues to move them into the United States every day. I'm headed to Mexico to expose this particular location that cartels and smugglers are using to harbor these individuals with terror ties. This is a major national security story, and it cannot be ignored any longer. I am asking my followers and supporters, if you do support my reporting, to please donate via Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App to help me hire a security team to take me into Mexico and successfully tell this story. But we're going to expose this terror smuggling network on the Mexican border in this particular location that continues to harbor these individuals, especially right now, while the threat of Iranian sleeper cells has never been higher. Stay tuned for this exclusive report. This report is also 100% independent and will be my very first exclusive report and video on my new YouTube channel, Ventura Reports. Hope to see you there. Stay tuned for this story.
All right, I will be reaching out personally to Jorge as he heads down there. His work needs to be supported. Peter Doocy asking President Trump, have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells could be in the U.S. right now? President Trump says this in response: I have been, and a lot of people came through Biden with this stupid open border, but we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on them. Let's see if we can get that video. Here is President Trump.
About how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now.
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in
So President Trump
with this stupid open border.
Laying it out there.
But we know
Peter
where
Doocy
most
on
of
the
them-
tarmac. But the news is not done today. We've got lots more reporting, but here's the truth that should make every patriot breathe just a little bit easier tonight. When Peter Doocy asked President Trump point blank, If he'd been briefed on how many Iranian sleeper cells are inside America, the president didn't flinch. He confirmed he has been fully briefed, acknowledged that, yes, a lot of these people came in through Biden's stupid open border, his words, but then delivered the knockout punch. We know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them. That's the difference between the chaos of the Biden years and the leadership under President Trump. We finally have a commander-in-chief who sees the threat, who knows where the enemies are, and is not afraid to take action. You see, the deep state wanted you afraid and helpless, but Donald Trump, he wants you to know that he's got this. So here's your takeaway, patriots. The Biden administration created the greatest national security crisis in modern American history. I would call it treason, by leaving our borders wide open to terrorists, cartels, and foreign adversaries. Now President Trump is systematically identifying, tracking, and preparing to neutralize these threats. This is exactly why elections matter. This is exactly why we fought so hard to put America first back in the White House. Now, I need you to share this video with everybody you know because the corporate media will never tell them the truth. And, of course, speaking of corporations, yes, if you're waiting for an algorithm to show you the next news network, if you're waiting for a corporation to send you a notification that never arrives, well, I have a solution for that. Text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's my little gift for you because you watched this video all the way to the end. Yes, you care about this program. You care about the Next News Network. And that's why you watch our reports all the way to the end. And that's why you get access to this special list where I'm going to send you direct messages. I'm not going to spam you, but I'm going to give you information that will be suppressed by the algorithm. So it's a direct line from me to you, right to your phone. Now, I want you to drop a comment below and tell me, do you trust President Trump to handle the Iranian sleeper cell threat? Yes or no? I do want to hear from you. If you want to show your support for real journalism, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Smash the subscribe button, ring the notification bell regardless, and remember, stay informed and stay free. I'm Gary Franchi, and you're watching the Next News Network.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.